start now tonight with yet another shocking attack on Sydney's Jewish community after a car in Queen's Park in the city's east was found spray painted this morning with the words "F the Jews." Residents in the heavily Jewish suburb were left shaken.
Do you mind if I ask you why you're so upset about it?
Because my father was killed in the Holocaust. This is how it starts. I heard it was racial slurs, but I didn't. I thought it would be anti-Israel. I didn't think it would be anti-Semitic.
And that's kind of the whole point, isn't it? With each one of these attacks on cars, on buildings, on a firebombed synagogue, the mask about these protests being motivated by anger at Israel slips even further, revealing this simmering Jew hatred underneath. The Executive Council of Australian Jewry co-CEO Alex Rivchin tweeted, "No one just vandalises a car with a racist slogan. It is the product of endless incitement, demonisation and a belief that such attitudes are freely permitted, even celebrated." Kel, he's certainly not the only Jewish community leader to make that point, certainly not the only person on Sky News to make that point. The government has a lot to answer for, doesn't it, in how it's emboldened these activists?
They haven't acted quickly. Well, they haven't acted very much at all. But 14 months ago, when this began on the 9th of October 2023, getting on for 15 months ago, they could have acted then and done something. Janet Albrechtson had a brilliant article in the Australian over the holiday break in which she said the way to act would have been to change the incitement to violence laws slightly, not a great deal. There's a funny defence in the incitement to violence laws. There's one in which genuine belief is a defence. She said that's silly, knock that out. And specify anti-Semitism. If you look at that expression on the side of the car, it is an incitement to violence. It said, be nasty to these people. Legally, Albanese, as our Prime Minister, could have called the Parliament back by the 10th of October. He could have put up changes along these lines. He could have condemned in the Parliament anti-Semitism in general. I've had people say to me, oh, you know, it's the most ancient hatred of all, and it is, as if that justifies our government today not doing anything. They can do something. Australia used not to be like this. So we don't need to be like this. We're a tolerant, easygoing society. This has been imported. We have to say to the people who brought it here, this is not Australia. This is not how we live. This is not how we treat each other.
James, couldn't agree more with Kel. And I've heard the Prime Minister himself make that point too, you know, that this is an ancient hatred, as if that somehow justifies it or puts it in any kind of context. But this really reveals that these sorts of actions, they're not about legitimate criticism of Israel. It's anti-Semitism. It's Jew hatred, pure and simple.
Well, yes. I mean, the car is not saying Israel or Benjamin Netanyahu. It said Jews. But I do have to say this is an ancient hatred, and in no way does that give any context or leeway to the people that are committing these crimes. But I think it's true to both say that Labor has been absolutely terrible in handling the anti-Semitism issue over the last year and a half, and also that there's very little they can do. I mean, I remember the Woolhara incident December last year, where someone spray painted "Kill Israel" on the wall. They misspelled Israel. This is not like a very intellectual or thoughtful kind of people that are doing this, not people that are up to date with Penny Wong's statements to the UN. So I just think, yes, Labor should be cracking down. They should be looking at the laws that people are taking advantage of to do these crimes. But at the same time, this is an ancient hatred, and we do need to really think about what is Australia doing to this people from communities that come to Australia. What are we teaching about the Australian dream that makes them think that the pull of the old country is stronger than the pull of the new country? I mean, this is a country that values peace, values mateship. It has done for ages. Now, for some people that are coming here, they don't see that. They don't feel the same pride in Australia that you and I do. And so they go back to the hatreds of the old world and they bring that here. So what can we do about Australia? What can we sell about the Western dream that is going to start winning hearts and minds?
Well, it's often second and third generation. It's not always the first generation people who've come here that commit these sorts of crimes. We don't know in this case who sprayed this anti-Semitic slogan on the car yet, Kel, but I have to disagree with James because I think there is so much more the government could do. For one, take action against the people who commit the crimes, who commit incitement to violence. I'm talking about the hate preachers. I'm talking about the people who preached that kind of hate on the steps of the Opera House on October 9. And we were quibbling, the police were quibbling about exactly what was being said.
But how many people have been arrested? None. Not one. That was horrific. That was hate-filled. And remember the imam who was out in the street saying it's a day of pride, it's a day of joy.
Exactly.
Now we know who he is, so he's not a faceless person. He's not an unknown person. There's no reason why he cannot be arrested. We don't need to change a lot of laws. We need to start using the laws we've got. We need to sharpen the laws we've got, and we need to start making arrests. The idea that this goes on and we can't find anyone and we can't arrest anyone, so it just has to happen. The people who... This is not Australia, this is foreign. This is people who've come from elsewhere, as James said, and they've imported their hatreds with them. They need to be told, you import your hatreds, you get locked up.